both for joining us and for everybody at home that eventually sees this. My name is Catherine Mesmer, and I'm a marketing rep from Centers for Rehab Services. Our CRS services offer expert physical, occupational, and speech therapy to about 70 locations across Pennsylvania right now. We go as far north as Erie, as far south as North Strabane, as far east, a little bit into the Beaver area, or no, west is Beaver, and east all the way out into Altoona, our Bedford area. With me today, and thank you so much, is Alyssa Phillips. She's one of our OTs from Greensburg. She treats not only the upper extremity injuries, but she does neuro, pain, and even work hardening. So today she's going to go over through a brief presentation on chronic pain management. And please, if you guys have any questions, please stop us, and then we have some activities for us at the end. So thank you guys again so much for having us, and take it away, Alyssa.
Okay, excellent. Catherine, thank you so much for the introduction. As she mentioned, I do pain management, occupational therapy out of the Greensburg office. At the end of this presentation, I'll show you all of the locations that offer pain management care if you have any concerns or looking for some resources. So taking a look at chronic pain management for cancer care, let's see there, perfect. With chronic pain's impact, 1 in 3 cancer survivors experiences chronic pain. So this is not something that's uncommon. It's linked to lower quality of life and higher healthcare costs due to not feeling that you have the capacity to do the things that you want to do, need to do, or that you're expected to do by others in your family, friend circles, etc. Unfortunately, in the research, we're seeing that some individuals feel like they do not have the opportunity to discuss pain, fatigue, or even emotional distress with their care team. We are concerned with how pain impacts your daily life, whether you feel like you're managing pain all day long and you don't have the energy to do the things that matter most to you, or do you feel anxious or fearful when you're trying to return to an activity that is really meaningful. So please always feel free to discuss it with us. We are here to listen. With chronic pain, we start to engage in this pain cycle. So we see physical changes in a person's body, things like the fatigue levels, maybe muscle spasms, even those localized pains like shoulder pain, arm pain, can be a variety of things. These physical changes often lead to functional changes. I may not feel like I have the energy to stand at the sink to finish washing all of my dishes. I may have to take breaks. I may feel like I can't engage in my favorite leisure activities and go out and walk with my friends or take my dog out and play with them for a while. The physical leads into that functional, and then also comes into that emotional aspect too. And with the emotional impact of that chronic pain, we often see fear avoidance. I don't want to engage in this activity because it might be more painful. Some people will tell me that they feel anxious over certain activities because they're worried that it may cause more pain. So as occupational therapy and as your care team, we need to make sure we're addressing the physical, functional, and emotional aspects. We want to help you be able to do what you want to do more often and feel better doing it. So what does OT specifically do to help? So we want to promote your mindfulness and support you through your daily occupations. Occupations can be anything from your activities of daily living, which is how you take care of yourself, your instrumental activities of daily living, how you take care of others, maybe pets, or how you interact with your community. If you're going out with your friends, things like that. We take a look at rest and sleep, work, leisure and play, your education, and social participation. So are you able to go out as you would like to, or are you able to have the energy to interact with the people that you want to interact with? Why mindfulness in these occupations is important is it helps manage pain and relax the body. So when we get into these chronic pain cycles, we often step out of our body, right? And we try to get through the day. That's the main goal. Because we're trying to get through the day, we sometimes miss those signals our body is giving us. Like, can we take a break? Do we need to maybe try this at a different level? And our body can build tension. So we want to make sure we're relaxing it too and not letting that tension impact our energy levels. We also use mindfulness to improve performance. If we look at a task mindfully and we take a look at what that task requires, how it makes us feel when we do it, we have the opportunity to break that task down and be really successful at it. We also like to address the emotional impact that chronic pain can have and coping strategies. How can we give individuals the tools to make sure that you're getting through the day the way you would like to, or you're feeling better going through your daily routines? So again, mindfulness is this tool to break through that pain cycle, that physical, that functional and emotional impact, and rewrite our daily experiences. When we're aware of a task and how it impacts us, we can look at it and say, when I stand to do the dishes, it really bothers my back and I don't feel good doing the dishes because I know it hurts. Well, with mindfulness, we can take a look at that in that lens of what can we modify, or how do I feel doing it and how can I change that? So, maybe I take a bar stool and I sit to do the dishes and get through that full load with less back pain, and hopefully no pain at all, even though dishes aren't very fun. So where do we start with being mindful and trying to take a look at those activities differently? We start with how we breathe. This sounds kind of funny. Everybody's like, well, I just breathe. I don't know why we need to focus on it, but there's this idea in this technique to breathing called diaphragmatic breathing, where we breathe deep into our lungs instead of breathing up into our chest. So this type of breathing is more efficient. It helps us manage fatigue because it lets the muscles in our upper extremities relax. So if I'm not breathing diaphragmatically, I kind of, and I have those shoulders moving, all of those neck muscles are engaged, I'm really burning that energy managing my breath that could be spent elsewhere, like on something that I want to do. Where that diaphragmatic breathing is more of that belly breathing. So I can feel my stomach expanding as I take in a breath, and I can feel my stomach shrinking as I exhale my breath. Now with that, we don't have to use the upper body. And our diaphragm is a really nicely built muscle that is meant for breathing. So it's going to be more efficient. And again, help you save that energy for the things you want to do. It also promotes a state of being called the rest and digest. So our nervous system is really good at seeing things in our environment and trying to protect us from them. So for example, if I don't feel good, or I'm looking at an activity like doing the dishes that often makes me feel not good, I start to activate my sympathetic nervous system. That's my fight or flight, that I don't really want to do that. That doesn't feel great. I'm not happy about it. And we start to notice that maybe sweating, shortness of breath, those things that we experience when we're in a situation that we don't like. So when we apply that diaphragmatic breathing, it promotes more of that rest and digest, that kind of relaxed parasympathetic nervous system that allows us to have less pain, get through a task easier, be more mindful through our daily routines. Diaphragmatic breathing is something that is helpful to practice, but we can easily put it into our daily activities. So to complete diaphragmatic breathing and kind of feel how diaphragmatic breathing works, you can begin in a comfortable position. This can be lying, this can be reclined, this could be seated. It doesn't have to be any one position. You place a hand on the chest. I'm just going to back up a little bit so I can show you guys. Place a hand on the chest and a hand on the stomach. As you breathe, we're going to focus on a few breaths. And you want to see which hand moves. So in the case of diaphragmatic breathing, you should see that lower hand, the one that's on your stomach, come out, go back in. If we're doing that kind of that shortness of breath or that more sympathetic nervous system breathing, we see more movement in that upper hand. So a lot of, and it doesn't feel as good for our body. So I'd like to have you try a couple of breaths and just ask yourself these questions. Which hand is moving? Do I see that movement more from that hand that's on my chest, where my secondary muscles are helping me breathe? Or do I feel that movement more on my stomach, where that diaphragmatic muscle meant for breathing is doing the majority of the work? And how do you feel? Even just taking a couple of those short breaths where those shoulders are raising up, it's not a great sensation. right? It's kind of shallow breathing. It kind of winds us up. It doesn't feel as good. Also, what is your breathing speed? When you're going through an activity, you want to take a look at, am I getting those nice, consistent breaths in? That's how we feed that oxygen to our muscles. That's how we manage those energy levels. Am I getting what I need? Or am I taking more of those shallow breaths? And my body's saying, okay, this is a challenging task. Maybe we need to take a break, get a couple of good deep breaths and reset. With diaphragmatic breathing, there are some techniques you can focus on, like focus on breathing through your nose. Again, allowing that stomach to rise, fill, and letting that chest relax. So those nice breaths in. And then allowing either out the nose or the lips to purse and breathing out. So almost like you're blowing out a birthday candle. As you're breathing in, again, we should feel more of that relaxed state. Shoulders are relaxed, stomach's gently expanding. But as you breathe out, you can actually kind of pull your belly button in towards your spine to help get all that air out, engaging that core. So your core muscles that lie over your stomach are really great because they help empty those lungs, but they also help with your posture. So as we get more efficient at breathing, it helps us recognize those times when we may be kind of, fatigued and just kind of slumped and ready for a break, or, those times that we're not getting as much air as we could into ourselves during an activity. Okay, so let's try it. I promise I won't talk as much during this section. I'll let you focus on the breathing. So we're just going to take a few of those breaths. We're going to breathe in, hold for 3 seconds, and try to breathe out. So I'm going to keep my hands on my chest and stomach just because it helps me focus on where my breath is going. You're welcome to do it however you feel comfortable. So we'll start with a nice breath in. Hold for 3. And then breathe out. Try it one more time. We're going to breathe in. Hold for 3 seconds. And then breathe out. So as anyone is trying these breaths, if they feel comfortable kind of sharing, some of that information from our previous slide, like which of your hands is moving, how do you feel, do you notice anything about your breathing speed? This would be a really great time to share it. Catherine, I'm looking to you.
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking the whole time, so I apologize. I was like, I definitely, so when I started doing the exercise, I could feel my bottom hand moving. That's the one that should be moving, correct, Alyssa?
Yep.
Awesome. So then I was like, oh, maybe I just wanted to see what it felt like to get my top hand to move. And it was very short, and I could feel my heart beat kind of in my ears almost. And I feel like I was just running, those quick, scary breaths. So I definitely felt them in my belly. So that was good.
Yeah. Good.
I didn't even realize. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge sometimes, is that when we do these activities that are more intimidating or require more of our mental and physical energy, things that we necessarily don't want to do, but we might have to do to manage our health or get through the workday, things like that. Noticing and being mindful of how you're breathing can really impact that activity. If I am getting more of those short breaths and building that response, try to bring it back down into those slow breaths. I always think pre-business meeting. I'm like, okay.
Absolutely.
Getting some of those really nice deep breaths in and telling your nervous system, it's okay. We're going to go into this task, but we're going to go into it as efficiently and as relaxed as we can.
That's awesome.
Did anybody else notice anything kind of interesting, or they feel like they had more breathing in their chest? I know there's definitely days like Mondays where I'm more of a chest breather than a belly breather.
Yeah, I'm actually in physical therapy right now with CRS. So I'm very conscientious of my breathing. I I always did it wrong. So
Oh,
you have to really, really, really be present. And that's what my therapist keeps telling me is be present. And I have to kind of check myself a lot to really focus and really think about it.
Mhm.
I love your therapist. Those are good cues.
Yes, she's amazing. I just love her to death. Carolyn Windsor.
Excellent. Well, good for Carolyn, because it makes a huge difference when you're in an activity, especially like PT, where we are challenging you when you're at PT or OT. We're not trying to make things so easy, but we're trying to help you grow and get stronger and get back to the things you love doing. And yeah, I'm so glad that she's asking you to be present and really helping to facilitate that proper breathing.
Yeah, she's pelvic floor therapy. So
Excellent.
I think it's even more important for that. The
Yeah,
breathing.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. We'll come to this next slide. So we've looked at breaths to help relax our bodies and mind. Well, and if you think about the diaphragmatic breathing too, those deep breaths are a good opportunity to just kind of check in with ourselves. Okay, where am I breathing? How am I breathing? How does that translate to the way that I'm feeling about this task? If I'm walking into a meeting and I'm having those, I just had a check-in last week with my regional director and I'm thinking, oh, what could this be about? And I have those shallow breaths and I'm getting into this and I'm thinking, oh, I'm starting to feel anxious about this activity. I'm getting kind of tense because I'm like, what would they ask? Take those deep breaths, relax, and just be there in the moment. And fortunately, it was just a check-in. So it was a good opportunity to just calm my system down before going into it. I'd like to take a look too at some additional tools that help address even just that general like muscle tension that we can build through the day and improve the way we move during our daily lives. So if we think about breathing, it's great. It's helping us calm the nervous system down. It's giving us the right fuel for muscles. But if we're continuing to carry tension through the day, that's inhibiting how we move. Like if we tense our upper back or our shoulders, it's a lot harder to get my arms to move. It's a lot harder to like reach into a cabinet, for example. It's a lot harder to drive if I'm really tense than if I have that nice relaxed posture and my arms can move as they need to for the activity. So one tool we use is progressive muscle relaxation. This is something that helps relax and recharge your system. Tension is a part of that pain cycle and that stress cycle. So when we have those physical changes, those functional changes and emotional changes, as we go through that cycle, we can experience more tension. Progressive muscle relaxation is shown to actually raise your pain threshold. So as you continue to relax and kind of bring those muscles back into place, focus on that breathing, that threshold that you have to hit to not feel well gets further and further away. So you build more energy. You're able to do more of the tasks that you want to do. And it helps reduce your stress, which, everybody has those stresses in their day-to-day life, whether it's attending appointments, talking to certain individuals on the phone, whatever we have to manage, progressive muscle relaxation can be a tool to help us manage it better. It's an excellent coping strategy too. So it begins with that deep breathing, which we've already practiced, and we have therapists who are encouraging it, which is awesome. But the specifics of the progressive muscle relaxation actually take us through different body parts and tensing those groups and then relaxing them. So we're going to go through a full progressive muscle relaxation. You're more than welcome to join along. I'll be narrating it, so hopefully it's relaxing enough, even narrated. I typically have individuals start at whichever body part feels better, whether it's your head feels pretty okay today, or whether it's your feet have been fine and not bothering you. Start where you're comfortable. I'm going to start with eyebrows just for the simplicity of the task, but feel free to switch it up if you need to. So when we look at the eyebrows, you want to raise your eyebrows as high as you can, as if you're very surprised. Hold that for about 5 seconds. And then let them relax back down. Just to kind of dive into this one a little more so we know what we're looking for. When you feel that tension, it should feel just like that, especially in this area where people get a lot of tension headaches. You should feel kind of that tightness. As you relax, the goal is for that tightness to go away. So as we move to the eyes, The wording on this is very funny. Screw up your eyes tightly. I usually tell people to just kind of close their eyes as tight as they can. Hold it for about 5 seconds. And then relax, letting that tension go. Frowning as much as you can, kind of engaging those facial neck muscles. Hold. And relax. Jaw. Opening your, this is going to be great to have on Zoom. Opening your mouth wide. And relax. Move to the shoulders. We're going to lift the shoulders. Hold for 5. And relax those back down. For the arms, we're going to tense both, making them really rigid. Sometimes it helps to kind of keep them in that flex, like I'm making a muscle posture. Hold. And relax. For the hands, we're going to squeeze our fists nice and tight. We're going to continue to hold. Relax. For the legs, clenching your thighs. Usually I just tell people put both knees together if it's comfortable and kind of squeeze the legs in every muscle group you can. Hold for 5 seconds, feeling it in the front of the legs and the back of the legs, and then relax. And then we're going to go to our butt. So we're going to do some butt squeezes. We're going to gently squeeze our butt, kind of pop up an inch off the chair. Hold for 5 seconds. Release. The feet, you do not have to be a contortionist. When we say pull your toes up towards your face, just lift them up towards the ceiling. Feel everything in the shin activating, your calf kind of waking up, and then relax. And now we're going to point the toes away from our face or towards the floor. So kind of like we're wearing a pair of heels, pushing them down. And release. We're then going to curl our toes. And release. Some things that might be challenging with progressive muscle relaxation, especially as you're just starting to do it, you may feel multiple groups of muscles trying to activate at the same time. Our body does its best to protect us and help us get through our days as efficiently as it can. Sometimes that means when we go to do something, like I go to put a cup away in my cabinet, all of the muscles in my back, my upper body, my arm are trying to help each other do that task. When realistically, I just need the muscles from my shoulders down. So progressive muscle relaxation is a way to not only look at those patterns and say, oh, when I lift my elbow or when I lift my shoulders towards my ear, I don't know why, but I feel it in my forehead. Maybe it's a lot of tension. Like through the day, you're kind of at this, I always joke, especially with with women, like we can get those shoulders up pretty high to our ears. But even having those up towards our ears throughout the day can build that tension in our shoulders, can build that tension in our neck, which then translates to more tension up towards our foreheads. So even just recognizing that multiple groups are trying to tense at once is a good way of noticing, oh, I should try to isolate those things. I should try to get those muscle groups to work on their own. I should try when I'm doing this relaxation technique to just feel it in my shoulders and then relax it, or just feel it in my forehead and then relax it. Because then as you're going through your day, again, if I'm trying to put that cup up in the cabinet, if I notice my back is bothering me, or if I notice like, oh, for some reason that's bothering my legs, that might just be a widespread amount of tension that's contributing to that sensation. And I can say, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath, relax, try to loosen it up, shake it off. I'm going to try to do that activity again as efficiently and with the muscles that need to do it as possible. Did anybody notice areas that felt really tense when they were doing this progressive muscle relaxation?
My shoulders were like, I felt like I could feel it doing the exercises. I could feel it on all of them, but my shoulders, I feel like you said, I feel like as soon as I relaxed, a lot of it, I feel like more relaxed than normal.
Yeah,
so I really like that one.
Good. And that's something too, that if you notice there's a group, like typically it's my shoulders, or I don't know if it's from sitting on rolly stools, but my buttocks, like the areas get tense. Those are areas that, you know, during the day I focus on most. Like I'll do a couple of extra reps to the shoulders, or I'll show a little love and just try to do the arms a little more to help break those up. But good, I'm glad it helped it feel like more relaxed.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah. And I was thinking about being on the parkway. You know, if you get in some wicked traffic, it's kind of nice to just do the shoulders, the arms, safely keeping your hands at 10 and 2, right? We're not trying to contribute to the problem on 376, but just taking those moments to say, oh, you know, I feel some of that tension. I'd like to relax it. I want to address it. I'm going to take care of my own body. Any questions or concerns on the progressive muscle relaxation technique or anything like that from anyone? Okay, excellent. So the next thing I want you guys to consider is, where is your happy place? You know, when you think about really joyful times in your life or really joyful experiences, you know, who's there? What does it look like? Mine usually involves sand and some nature, so it's kind of the best combination of things. But where is that most content, most relaxed, really beautiful place in your mind? And who's there with you if there's anyone there? And the reason I want you to consider that is because relaxation and guided imagery can also be really, really great tools to help manage that tension and that stress in our day-to-day lives. And as we manage that, it contributes less and less to that pain cycle because we're using those tools to take some of those physical aspects out. So if we feel more relaxed and we feel less tense, we feel less stressed, we have more energy that we can put into those functional things that we want to do, that we need to do, that we love to do. So with the relaxation and guided imagery, this one's a little more involved. I don't recommend closing your eyes and trying this on 376. That would not be good. So you do still want to make yourself nice and comfortable, just like we talked about with the breathing and the relaxation, progressive muscle relaxation. First, you want to close your eyes and just kind of concentrate on that breathing. Get those nice, slow, full diaphragmatic breaths. And then you want to think of your special place. You know, what does it look like? Is it real? Is it, you know, imaginary? I've never been to Bora Bora, but I think that would be a really nice, happy place. And then imagine yourself lying comfortably in your own special spot and feel that feeling of like being completely at home. You know, do you have a family member that every time you're sitting in their kitchen or like hanging out at their house, you just feel so good? Become aware of your senses. In that picture you have built in your mind, look around you. You know, what do you see? Is it that family member's house that you're at for every Thanksgiving? You know, do you see that their wallpaper is a certain like checked pattern, or maybe they have plain white walls? You know, what smells are in the air? Are you at the beach and you're smelling like the salt water, or are you in this really nice home environment where you're smelling like something baking? Feel the ground beneath you. You know, what textures can you feel? Imagine that you're in a really comfortable environment, the temperature's just right, you're feeling content. And look around you, again in that mind's eye, like as you're building this perfect happy place, find something that catches your eye and think about it. You know, if I'm thinking of my happy place is somewhere more beachy, or if I'm thinking my happy place is somewhere outdoors, you know, maybe there's a really nice plant, or I'm finding something like a seagull that seagulls aren't always very relaxing, but maybe it's a very nice seagull and I'm kind of focusing on it. Think about that spot and really give yourself that opportunity to explore it. And then when you're ready, end that visualization and gently bring your attention back to the room and your breathing. Again, this tool is more of that, I'm in a relaxed position, I can close my eyes, I have the opportunity to, you know, really just be comfortable and be at home or in my happy place. But the goal is to, again, help bring that nervous system down, reduce that tension, reduce that stress. Even thinking about happy places, you know, how do you feel? Like when you're doing the dishes, could you daydream about that, like same location? Could you be on that island in Bora Bora, or doing something really nice with your family members? You know, kind of put yourself in a position where you just feel great doing what you're doing, or take that time to really get into the activity and feel more relaxed. If anyone feels comfortable kind of sharing their happy place or how they feel when they think about their happy place, I really appreciate some additional examples.
I don't have a specific happy place. I feel like the place moves, but like my feelings don't. So like I'm surrounded by family. I'm a huge dog lover, so all my Goldens are there, and it's just like the weather's nice. So it's I think I take that and I move it to different areas, like whether it's at the beach, if we're at the beach together, or if we are visiting other family together, like just that feeling of being around people that I love and around my dogs, I think just puts me in a good headspace.
Good. When think about an activity that might be challenging or something that you don't, like say you have to go and take care of a chore that you're not necessarily excited about. Do you feel like there'd be benefit to coming home after doing that chore and, just deep diving into that happy place for maybe 5 to 10 minutes and kind of resetting that mood or that feeling?
Absolutely. I think that would definitely help, like cutting the grass. I don't mind doing it, but I don't look forward to doing it. So once I'm done, I can like sit on the deck and like watch my dogs in that area and just like remember those, like, this is why I cut the grass. Because we get to enjoy it then.
Yeah. And it's again, that mindfulness, like bringing you into that present, practicing being present in those moments that feel really good can help us be present in those other moments too. Like when you're mowing the grass, it may not be the same as your happy place, but that's a great example. You're remembering, I love my happy place, which is letting my Goldens run around and not be lost in the weeds, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it ties it all together for you and kind of rewrites that for you and says, like, I may not enjoy this activity, but it really leads to feeling awesome and experiencing something I love. Okay, good. So to kind of, again, tie that mindfulness back into our everyday lives and why mindfulness is important and why occupational therapy will always talk to you about mindfulness, or your PTs will always talk to you about mindfulness, is it really promotes that self-reflection. How do I feel in this moment? If we know how we feel, we can use our tools more efficiently and more effectively. So if I know I feel a lot of tension in my upper body, it might be more beneficial to do a progressive muscle relaxation than it would be to do a guided imagery. I feel that it's something based specifically on local tension. I'm going to address that local tension. Guided imagery might be nice, but is it the most effective tool? Is it going to get the job done the best way possible when we have another tool that actively is going to address that muscle tension? And promoting self-compassion. I often have clients who will tell me, oh, I have to get through it. I want to get through it. I need to do all of these things. And I ask them, if your son or daughter was homesick from school, would you tell them that they have to get out of bed and stop relaxing or taking care of themselves and clean their room, run the vacuum, do the dishes? Oh, no, I would never say that to my kids. Why were we saying to ourselves, though, that if we're having a hard day and we recognize we need to use our self-care tools and take care of ourselves and, build ourselves up for the next day, why are we telling our things that we would never say to our closest friends or never say to our family members? It can be hard to have compassion for ourselves, but it's so important. You are doing the best you can with the tools that you have, and that in itself is incredible. You don't have to make yourself feel worse or guilty or upset about it. I know we all have those days, and it's one of those, do as I say, not as I do sometimes. But it really is like on those days where you feel like you could benefit from taking care of yourself and having more energy or kind of filling up yourself and your own energy levels so that you can do the things that you need to do or want to do the next day, are just as important as those days that you do everything that you need to do too. And taking time for mindfulness does not have to be extensive. Like you don't have to dedicate 5 hours a day. You don't have to, if you do enjoy taking those moments and quietly meditating, fantastic. If you're able to take time for mindfulness in the hobbies that you like to do, even better. If you're able to apply mindfulness strategies in your daily life or in your self-care tasks, perfect. There's not a wrong way to do it. It's just an important tool to use. So even that mindfulness in the daily activities, pay attention to your senses. Kind of like that guided imagery. What did you see? What did you feel? What did you smell? Enjoy a meal. Like the next time you eat, enjoy it. Make the room quiet. Have like your spaghetti and take that opportunity to, how does the spaghetti feel when I'm eating it? How does it taste? Can I taste the marinara? Did I make the sauce myself? Did I buy it in a jar? Like, can I taste the difference? Do I taste the basil that the jar tells me is supposed to be in there? That kind of stuff. Listening, like really listening to your favorite music, actually relaxing, sitting, lying, hearing the lyrics. What are they saying? What's the melody like? Is it nice and relaxed? Is it more upbeat? And taking a walk. They always say, stop and smell the roses. Maybe you do literally stop and smell roses, or you take the opportunity to ask your neighbor who has the really nice Goldens like Catherine does, like, can I pet your dogs? Are they friendly? Enjoying that environment and being present in it, and almost seeking those experiences that make you feel more grounded or make you feel more present, instead of just rushing through the task and trying to get it done. I'm guilty with this. You've heard me bring up washing dishes a million times because I actively do not enjoy doing it. So, I try to find a dish soap that's kind of nice. Like eucalyptus is awesome. So using something that smells like eucalyptus makes the task better for me because that scent makes me feel good. So maybe I hate scrubbing out pans I've just had in the oven for 2 hours. However, I really enjoy that smell. So I'm trying to make that task less daunting and more enjoyable. Showering is a huge mindfulness moment. Getting that perfect temperature, even like using your favorite body washes, your shampoos and conditioners that smell really awesome, or just taking that time to say, I'm taking care of myself and this is really great. I am taking a shower and making sure that my body is clean, well taken care of. I'm preparing myself for an activity that I'm going to do. Wow, this makes me feel good because I'm actively doing something to make myself feel better and take care of that and really, again, build myself up for the next thing I have to do. Or even cleaning and dusting. Sometimes that is the way to get emotions out. Like if you have those hard days and the shoulders are up to the ears, maybe doing a little bit of relaxation and then running the vacuum, something active that you feel like, okay, I'm accomplishing a task, but man, I'm like really getting those feelings out. Or dusting and doing something more gentle. It's like, okay, not feeling great, but this is a nice gentle activity. I'm getting some motion. I'm being a little active, but I'm also accomplishing something on my list. So being mindful in those activities can help us get through them. It can help us find ways to enjoy those daily activities. And again, it's not wrong how you practice mindfulness. It's just something that practicing can be really beneficial. So I wanted to thank everyone for coming out today. I know mindfulness isn't always an easy tool and that relaxation isn't always easy to do day to day, but it's really important. Taking care of you is the best thing you can do, especially when you're experiencing chronic pain, because you are that person for someone who is the fun one to be out with, or is the caretaker, or is that like, I look up to them and they're my role model. You are that for somebody. And as we learn how to take care of ourselves better and get through the day easier and with less pain to manage, you're doing such a service to yourself and you're allowing yourself to be that person. And I appreciate when people can apply these strategies however they can to their daily lives and serve themselves so that they can help serve others too. At this time, I was wondering if anybody had any questions or any concerns. Right. Jan, I see your hands up. Oh, there we go.
I had to take it off mute, thanks. My question is, you spoke of muscle and relaxation, and that's what I'm having issues with. And I'm also in physical therapy and yoga as well. And that is working because I get up in the morning and before I can even get up, my sinuses wakes me up like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4. I'm glad if I sleep till 5 o'clock with my sinuses, but my lower back and my upper shoulder blades. It's where I usually have the issues. And just the physical therapy that I've had for the last 4 or 5 weeks has been tremendous. Like and the yoga as well, and the breathing. And it's like, and that's what I do first thing. If my sinus is bothering me, I get up, I drink a water, take my sinus medication, and I just do those stretching. And I feel like a new person. I feel like I'm ready to start my morning. Even though I may go back to sleep, I may not, but that's okay, because I have an agenda the day before and what my goal is for that following day. And so I don't care if I complete it or not. It's just I have a goal. You know? If I can complete, all of it, yeah, fine. That's fine. And if not, that's okay too. At least the intention was there.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you're feeling relief. Yeah.
But the breathing and the stretching is, I feel like, again, when my feet really hit the floor, I'm just ready to go. And my family, we Zoom every Wednesday evening, and they're like, where were you? And and I said, well, leave a message if you really want me. Leave a message on the cell or the house phone. I will get to you. They're like, no, I didn't want to disturb you. But you didn't mind calling, so you must have called for something. You just want to know what I'm up to at all times. like I'm supposed to. If they could, they put a camera in my house. They would, and in the car.
Yeah.
They would. So it's like, yeah, and I've even encouraged my one sister. She has 2 knee replacement as of, oh gosh, maybe it's been 10 years now, because it was just before she retired, maybe a year before she retired. So it's not quite 10 years. And she is doing walking when she can do walking. And then she has sciatic problems in her back. And she's had them before she retired. She's had them as a young person, if I'm not mistaken. They found that when she was a younger person. And she has a couple other illnesses, but she's a goer. Like, she does concerts out, prior to the pandemic, and she likes bus tours too. So, and she's a Catholic, but yeah, it's been a journey with everything, my health. Until I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I worked full time. I walked before I went to work. Started, because I would get there an hour before I started, an hour and a half sometimes, and I had enough time to walk all of Peterson Center, those steps up there, the hill, the steps, a lot of Oakland, and back at work, and plenty
That's
of
a lot of
time
steps.
to refresh. Oh yeah, to refresh. Yeah, I walked the steps up, walked the steps down, walked the hills, and I did some of that at lunchtime too. I did as much as I could at lunchtime. I would walk before I ate and came back and had a small meal.
What I love, Janet, that you constantly bring back this idea that you're like checking in with yourself, and you're saying, like, what do I need now to be ready for my day? And that's the biggest thing with mindfulness. It's just like, check in and say, okay, like I want to do this goal, or I have this goal. Like, how can I use my tools that I have and get myself together? I think that's found these tools.
What I beat myself up about is, and I know I shouldn't, I had to choose between taking care of my health and working, because the job that I had was a temp assignment that would have lasted until the day I croaked. We can only make up two hours per their guidelines, and you can't get a treatment in 2 hours at times. You can barely get a treatment in and be back at the job, and then afterwards you need to eat, you need to recoup. So it's like, no, although it didn't really drag me down and beat me up, but it was an adjustment. adjustment. You never know each treatment, how you were going to react to the treatments.
Well, I thank you, Alyssa, because you gave me a good idea. One of my favorite relaxations is to wash the dishes. I know it's weird. I know that most people do not
Come
like
on over.
I don't like them, but I'm the one who always does them. And I'd rather get it done and have our kitchen cleaned before I go out. No.
But I was having problems washing the dishes because I now have lymphedema from my radiation treatments. So my leg feels really, really heavy.
Wow.
So I never even thought to bring a stool over to sit on while I'm doing them. That's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I enjoy the standing of things. I like to stand rather than sit a lot. I don't sit a lot. Even if I can be home all day, and I can tell you a whole day I may sit an hour, and that's not a lot. I sit more in doing maybe some definitely Zoom, family Zoom on Wednesdays, and any Zoom classes that I have, and any research that I'm doing online too. Things that I'm looking at. I have a tendency to sit too long and looking at things, and that's not a good thing. I need to get a desk stand that sits up high.
Yeah.
Because with this laptop that we have, it's on a stand, and I need another stand that stands higher so I can stand up when I'm doing different things online.
Well, I think that's the cool thing too, and like to your point, Janet, and to your point, Christine, is like that mindfulness. I think as an OT, I'm bred to like think, how is your environment working? Like, how can we make it work better? And Christine, like even the stool, like being mindful and being curious about like, oh, I really like doing this. Like, how can I be more successful in doing it for myself? It's exciting. Get curious about what you do again and apply those strategies. Like, how does it make me feel? How can I make this successful for me? And I'm kind of getting back into ourselves. Like I'm an OT, so I geek out about it all the time. It's cool to look at those things and just say, like, I could add a stool to this task and get to enjoy something I love to do and just make it work better for how I'm feeling and make it work better for my day. And I appreciate you ladies being on this ride with me this morning, because I like I said, it's my passion is to look at your environments and say, what can we do, or how can we help you do it better? And it's cool to hear everyone talk about just how they make it work and how they enjoy doing it.
I have another thing too. As we're taking care of our homes, etc., there's so many nice things that they have out there, and you take things for granted when you have the strength, to do them. Like, for instance, wringing out a mop. I was so used to doing things old-fashioned ways, and my brother bought this mop bucket wringer that wrings the mop out, and he was so psyched about it, and I just thought, oh, okay, whatever, and this big, he's like 6'5", 200 and something pounds. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, to myself, we've really gotten lazy. My mom would crack up, laughing at him, because she did things all old-fashioned.
Yeah.
She raised 11 of us, a husband, grandkids, strong woman, cook with cast iron. Okay. So I was like, okay. So okay. Now, since I'm enduring my journey, I thought I have to get one of those, and I did a mop bucket wringer. That's the best thing that happened. It's like, I get the we have 3 floors: a game room, first floor, and second floor. And the first floor and the second floor are so easy to do. He does the game room and garage. I don't really bother that. But I can have this our whole house done in an hour or less. And that's doing, what is it called? Putting the shellac on it. What is that called? Murphy's oil.
Mm-hmm.
The kitchen doesn't do Murphy's oil. I'll do spick and span or not pine saw. I can't stand that. The other
That is
kind.
not a smell that you want to think about with your happy.
Yeah, it's not, pine saw makes me sick. I stopped using that. I threw any pine saw out. So I just couldn't endure that. And even the bathroom, it's just, so, life is so much, it's easy, but we have to think about our overall, like, you're gonna do this often, so why not make it easy? We have to forget about sometimes the way we grew up, and that's how then, and this is now.
Yeah.
We grew up and we beat ourselves up. My mother, I mean, and maybe that made her, made her more, I don't know. That was what they endured and what they thought they should use at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, it made their limbs strong, etc. And she lasted a long time until she was almost 86 years old. She died at about 86 years old. So.
But I love how you said that it's like making these things easier. And if you think about your energy in a day, and it's kind of like a battery. If you spend it all mopping, then you spend it all mopping. But if you can find something like that mop bucket that makes the task easier, well, now I have more battery left to like zoom with my.
I can do that. The washing, fold that up, put it in the closet, on and on. I used to, and I was telling my one niece as I'm, home now, that I didn't realize, I'm realizing how much I did. I did our house in one day. I would actually go shopping, make a meal, put everything away, clean up, wash clothes too, as I'm wash clothes for this house, my mother's house, take them back down my mother's house in the same day before I went to bed. Work full time and did all that, and came home and did all that. Yeah. From 5:30 in the morning, I didn't see the house until about 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, and that's for years. I did that years and years. And she said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." Who did it? You name the ones who did it. Your uncle didn't do it. He's not going to do that. He doesn't do it now. So he didn't do that for her. But he took care of, your grandmother, but he didn't do that. And did your mother do that? And she, you didn't mention her. She's her daughter too, so.
Yeah. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I think this is really helpful. It sounds like it's helped both Jeanette and Christine with this. If you guys have any questions, I'll let you actually finish up. Sorry, Alyssa, and then I'll go over my last
references. American Cancer Society, if anybody is interested, has a lot about mindfulness and relaxation. Australia has a really great pain management association that also puts out some great blogs and information. There is a lot of research on diaphragmatic breathing and managing chronic pain through different strategies. A lot of the places I was looking were more like American Cancer Society, Mayo Clinic, so stuff that's really accessible, and I think sometimes presented in a great way. Sometimes it's presented in kind of like, oh, how do I apply this way? So if you ever have questions or concerns, my information is here in this presentation, but also more local sites where you can find pain management OT or work with therapists who can help you take all of that information and make it apply to your life, make it work for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Alyssa, again. And thank you, ladies, for jumping on. So the list that Alyssa has on the PowerPoint, those are specific. That's where you can go get the pain management OT. You'd be happy to schedule an appointment with any of those. If you're looking for general PT, kind of like what Christine's doing, You can visit our website or call that phone number. We can get you scheduled at a clinic closest to you guys. It's honestly not, it's super easy. We check all the insurance stuff for you. We make sure you're settled, you know where you're going. Any help is better than no help at this point. So thank you guys so much for your time today.
I appreciate you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Thank
If you guys have any other questions, please feel to reach out. I'll leave my information too, and Alyssa is on there also. But thank you guys again so much for everything, and have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine.
Okay,
Thank you.
You as well. Thanks for being on.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies.